The Shadow Doll is a sinister-looking figure crafted from what appears to be bones and bird feathers. It's believed to have been used in dark rituals. According to the Warrens, this doll has the terrifying ability to enter people's dreams and paralyze them with fear. Some who have encountered it report feeling a heavy, oppressive energy and even waking up with scratches on their body. So what in the Freddy Krueger is happening? Is this all a bunch of BS, or is this doll actually possessed? I'll be honest, just looking at the doll, I don't feel too great. It feels like a forbidden image, like I shouldn't be looking at this. A photo is the closest you'll get because this doll remains locked away in the museum to prevent it from spreading any nightmarish influence any further. So take a good look. Never again. This antique mirror was reportedly used in occult rituals to summon spirits. Now, the Warrens acquired it from a man who claimed that it had caused terrifying visions and paranormal activity in his home. Guests who dare to gaze into this mirror have reported seeing shadowy figures, ghostly faces looking back, and ominous shapes moving within its reflective surface. If you're a fan of the Conjuring series, which I hope many of you are, you may recognize this mirror from one of the most frightening scenes in the franchise. Director James Wan wanted to use the music box in the first film because, well, mirrors and creepy tones make for great suspense on film. Sure, that's one reason, but also this was a real haunted artifact from the real Conjuring house. Now today the box is safely stored in the Warrens Museum alongside other items that look more or less normal upon first glance. April, the youngest of the Perrin children who lived in the Conjuring house, she was the one who found this antique in the first place, and she supposedly used it to communicate to another spirit, a spirit named Rory. Casual name for a spirit, Rory. In the movie, this was a happy ending with the family and the curse, but in real life, the Bathsheba Sherman witch curse was never resolved. That was just for the movie, so sleep in fear. The satanic idol was discovered in the woods of Connecticut. It's this bizarre carved figure, and it just looks odd. It looks like something from the Blair Witch Project, doesn't it? Just looking at a photo of this idol gives me chills. I don't want this anywhere in my home. Thank you very much. Where'd it come from? How old is it? What does it mean? The Warrens believe that the statue was used in satanic rituals to invoke demonic spirits. Love that. Love a real artsy connection. When Ed Warren brought it back to the museum, he said strange occurrences began the day of, such as disembodied voices and an overpowering sense of dread permeating the area. Some visitors have felt nauseous or faint near this idol as if it emits a malevolent energy. The idol remains one of the most ominous objects in this museum, shrouded in an aura of ancient unknowable evil. Would you ever keep this idol in your house? I mean, it's a nice piece of art. If it weren't for the, haunting part, sure, I'd find a corner for it. The pearl necklace. And no, I'm not talking about that one. This seemingly delicate string of pearls was reported to tighten around the necks of those who wore it. That is so scary, leaving them gasping for breath. The necklace was given to the Warrens by a terrified woman who claimed that it belonged to a jealous spirit. Now, after the pearls nearly got her, she begged the Warrens to take it away. Please, I don't want this pearl necklace anymore. The necklace is kept behind glass now, but even at a distance, some visitors report feeling a cold, suffocating sensation around their neck, as if unseen hands were trying to choke them just by standing near it. Yeah, we love a jealous, catty spirit. Nice rich pearl necklaces. Yeah, Marge Simpson, no, who wears the pearls? Lisa Simpson, that's it. Yeah, the ghost of Lisa Simpson is haunting those pearl necklaces. We love that. Number 5, the sitting man. Okay, of all the tombs to find, this one would be the most horrifying. This would be so jarring to stumble across, okay? Buckle up. Back in 2005, researchers found a Mayan tomb in Honduras from the 5th century, okay? It's a long time ago. And the body inside was not lying down. It wasn't a pile of bones pointing east or west this time. Rather, it was in a chair, sitting up, like a villain from Zelda. How scary would that be? I mean, it's beautiful, but that's jarring to stumble across. You know what I mean? Whoever was the first person to look and see that, brave soul, that's all I'm saying. The body found, it appears to be an elite member of the Mayan Empire. He passed away, we think, around 650 AD. Yeah, the guy gets propped up in a chair. That's awesome. His legs were crossed and he was rocking jade jewelry. This was very royal. And the tomb itself was actually upright as well. It's common fear to be buried alive, but in this case, you'd have plenty of room. You'd be like, oh, we're good. These types of tombs are actually quite rare to find, but the fact that this one is also in great condition and there's somebody sitting cross-legged inside, double rare. Here we go. Number 4, The Terracotta Army. This is, talk about curses. Oh boy. The tomb of Emperor Qi Shi Huang, China's first emperor. Okay, in this tomb, we can find 8,000 statues. This one is quite loaded. I almost made this number one just out of principle. But they all have unique carvings on their face, as if to suggest these are all custom statues, all representing an individual from that long ago. All 8,000 of them. The emperor believed that after he had passed away, he would have the spirits of his enemies to face, so he wanted to be prepared even after death. The emperor decided to close the tomb before the workers even had a chance to get out. It was horrible. He was worried his enemies had found out, so there's of course lots of statues down there and a lot of dark history, just all piled into one. I would never go near this. I think the Mummy 3 is about this tomb. It didn't do so well, but yeah. Scary concept. Number 3, message from Egyptian Afterlife. We're all curious what happens after you die, of course, but nobody celebrated the end of your days like ancient Egyptians did, right? It's beautiful. Like I've mentioned before on this channel, they would have these fake painted doors. They would leave valuables. Any new tomb that we discover provides more hints as to what lies beyond, right? An ancient necropolis was discovered only a few years ago, again in Egypt. It contains dozens of coffins and a necklace that holds a message from the afterlife. Okay, now we're talking. This site is around 2,000 years old, and they're in the process of excavating it as we speak, slash as I mansplain to you about these tombs. But so far the tombs and artifacts found, officials think, belong to an ancient priestess. A message from the afterlife is pretty spectacular, but what does it say exactly? Well, we're still waiting to find out. These things take time, you know? Number 2, mythical carvings. Back in 2014, a 1,700-year-old cemetery was discovered along the Silk Road, which are these ancient trade routes, ancient highways rather, connecting China and the Roman Empire. Now in the city of Kucha, now in northwest China, the cemetery was found along with 10 ancient tombs, one of which was referred to as M3. M3 didn't have any haunting messages this time around, but it did contain several carvings of mythical creatures. Creatures that were once alive? Question mark. There's the white tiger of the west, the black turtle of the north, the vermilion bird of the south, so far so lovely, and then there's the azure dragon of the east. A little bigger, a little bit more mighty. These mythical carvings represent different seasons and the heavens, but could the other 6 carvings mean depictions of hell? Probably, possibly. And finally, number 1, the Ring of Sekenianis. One ring to rule them all. And by rule, I mean curse you and your entire family. Don't touch this. This is why you don't steal from ancient tombs. Has to be number 1. This 12-gram gold ring, for starters, looks beautiful, and secondly, it's massive. Its diameter was 25 millimeters, so unless you were wearing some sort of infinity gauntlet, she's probably gonna fall off your little Jack Skellington fingers, you know what I mean? The ring had first been found in 1785. A farmer was plowing a field in Silchester Village, a village west of London known for its grim history, because in 45 AD, ancient Romans invaded that site, and come the 7th century, it was completely abandoned. And probably pretty cursed. The ring was mighty and even had an inscription on it, a Latin inscription, of course. It read, Senequian vivas indium. And when 1929 rolled around, new details surfaced, or resurfaced rather. The data from the ring matched an excavation that was done in the early 1900s less than 100 miles away, in a place called Lydney. That's where this ring is from. At the same site, however, a tablet was found recalling the Celtic god of healing and hunting, and how his favorite ring got stolen. I'm connecting some stories here. Uh-oh, I may have stolen something I shouldn't have. If this rings a bell, yes, Lord of the Rings was inspired by this exact legend. The tablet also says, may he who bears the name of Senequianus not have health until he brings the ring back to the Temple of Nodens. Yeah, let's get that ring back ASAP Rocky. That would be great. I'll be a lot quicker than Lord of the Rings. I'll be a lot quicker than 3 movies. I'll tell you that. Where's this temple? I'll put it in my Uber right now. I'm on my way. Kicking off our list at number 10, a cursed phone number. The song 8675309/Jenny has been stuck in my head for about 18 years now. It's a classic. That song is a banger. Great jingle too. Imagine if a pizza place figured that number out first. Would have been game over. A cursed phone number. What are we talking about here? This phone number, apparently cursed, is 359-888 and then a bunch of 8s afterwards, okay? What's the deal here? Anybody who's had this phone number in the last 20 years or so, apparently they've all met their fate in a weird way. CEO of a Bulgarian phone company, he got cancer at 48. And then 2 criminals later on, both of their deaths were a little bit more mysterious than cancer. All these deaths that happened were within 4 years of each other. That's the, curse aspect of it all. The phone number was suspended, so nobody's able to use it now. Maybe it was a cursed number, or maybe the number had ties to crime. 8675309 is still stuck in my head. Number 9. The organ. Music is said to bring life into the room, but this time it's a bit too literal for my liking. There is a real organ in the Occult Museum. This belonged to Ed and Lorraine Warren for quite a while, the paranormal investigators. Of course, all these things are found in a haunted house. In one way or another, it's haunted or cursed, as are all these in this list. This organ apparently would play by itself throughout the night. In total, there were 3 different incidents where Ed thought somebody had broken into the museum because he heard the organ being played, but by the time he arrived in a panic, the room was empty. Classic. Nothing had been touched, there was no visitors. Of course, it was just a cursed piano. Nice. A priest then came to bless the museum and the music eventually stopped. But before her passing, Lorraine Warren said to USA Today that the prayers do work, and they blind the evil much like an electric fence does for a dog. Number 8. Photograph of Bathsheba Sherman. You always see these videos of UFOs and they're filmed with like a BlackBerry curve. It's just rubbish, it's horrible quality. There's never clear evidence of anything nowadays, right? But we may just have a clear photo with the real Bathsheba Sherman, the witch in the original Conjuring film, that real person in real life. Yeah, we have a real photo of a real witch. This is crazy. This photo is from the Perrin family farmhouse back when it was still the Arnold estate. This was 1885, so the witch was most likely in her 70s at this time, and this witch lived next door to said farm, and although we'll never really know for sure, many believe she's the lady in the middle closest to the camera. Also, the fact that she's wearing some sort of mask and she's standing by herself and looks like a witch, I don't know, definitely her, most definitely her. I feel like nobody wants to stand next to a literal witch, you know? It's like a big radius around her. That's how you know it's her. Imagine doing a silly one with Bathsheba Sherman. You're like, hey, bunny ears, don't curse me. Number 7, the Bano Vas. This vase comes from the 15th century. It was made for an excellent wedding gift, but the night before, the bride sadly lost her life with the vase still in her hands, so a lot of questions, right? The family of course kept it afterwards, but as the vase was passed down the family line, a pattern began to unveil itself. Whomever held possession of the Bano Vas died shortly after in a weird way. Now keep in mind this was the 15th century, okay? The average lifespan was already 30 to 40 years old. But after this many deaths in the family, it was packed away for good, okay? Or so they thought. This vase showed up again in history in 1988 alongside a single note. The note was pretty to the point. It said, "Beware, this vase brings death." End of note. Whoever found it was like, okay. And then continued on with it. Yeah, they kept the vase, didn't heed the warning, and then it was auctioned for over $2,000, sans note. Yeah, the pharmacist who won the auction, well, you guessed it, they passed away within months. Number 6, ghost boots. These boots are made for haunting, and that's just what they'll do. Yeah, I put a pair of boots on this list. That's where we're at now. Let's do it. This is a photo of a young lady and it may look like a classic family trip, but upon closer inspection, it seems like somebody is standing behind her. Now, of course, tracing this photo back to its origins, her father said nobody was behind her at this time, that it was taken, because that would be pretty weird, right? Hey, stand right here in an open field, thanks. Hey, can you move please? There's an open field. Thanks. You know, it's a little weird. This shot was taken at Zushi Kanagawa in Japan. You can see boots and what looks like clothing sticking out from behind her elbow. Father said, "I took a few photos. When I was looking through them at night, I noticed the boots behind her. I took several in the same spot, but only one of these photos had the boots." Yeah, you always see that at movies, right? They're always going through these photos at night at like 2 a.m. and they find something scary. It's never at Walmart in the middle of the day, know what I mean? It's always scary in a dark kitchen. Ugh. What would you do? I would freak out. And he freaked out, obviously. He showed a friend, and then said friend posted it on Reddit, hence why we're here now. Haunted boots. The more you know. Number 5, Robert the Evil Doll. First of all, Robert, it's not a scary doll name, but don't let it fool you, okay? This guy here, just as bad as Annabelle. A man named Rob Otto, he was given a doll that looked a lot like him, all right? This is how the story begins. You know how you get a doll that looks like you? Sure, that happens all the time. One of his servants who didn't like him made this doll for him. Yeah, you already know where I'm going with this one. It was a voodoo doll, right? Of course. Why would you accept this? This is obviously a trap. Neighbors would hear Robert talking to this doll. Robert and Robert, the podcast. Tune in. Awesome. Now, after Robert's death, the new owners of the house found that same doll in the attic, still there. Well, actually, their daughter found it. It was a pretty jarring experience. The family was haunted by this doll for years. They would hear threats coming from it. They would talk to them at night. Everything that you don't want to hear, it happened to them. So now the doll is on display in a museum in Key West. Do we believe in this one? I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical. Annabelle, maybe. Robert? Not as scary. Try again, pal. Fix your name first. Mandy the Haunted Doll. There we go. We got another doll. This one sounds a little bit more frightening. Apparently, the most malicious entities on the planet take the form of a doll. Who knew? Mandy the doll, remember this name. Mandy lives in the Quesnel Museum in Canada, and the staff at the museum insists that Mandy is kept in a separate display case. Because when Mandy shares a case with other dolls, these other dolls would magically end up being knocked over in the middle of the night. Turns out Mandy loves attention, huh? Staff also reported their lunches disappearing on occasion, but me personally, I think that they're reaching at that point. That's just a greedy coworker who's blaming it on a doll. That's a different thing. That's one guy, you gotta go find him. That's not the doll. Number 3, Pompeii artifacts. I love geology and history and all that stuff here on Bumblebee, it's great, but it's hard not to want to bring something home after you visit a famous landmark. But depending where you go, you could get in a lot of trouble for, stealing a rock. Sounds silly, but listen up. Pompeii, for example, once a flourishing Roman city located near the Bay of Naples in Italy, that was of course until 79 AD when Mount Vesuvius erupted and it buried the entire city and sadly its inhabitants under layers of ash and pumice. Now the eruption was so powerful that it wiped out all of life within a 16-mile radius. Pompeii of course remained buried and forgotten for almost 1700 years until it was rediscovered in 1748. Today Pompeii is an archaeological site that offers a glimpse into ancient Roman life with well-preserved ruins of homes, public buildings, streets, artwork, you name it. It's all there. It's great. And there's a great amount of people who steal from this ancient landmark. Because of course there are. How to get cursed 101. This is how you do it. Tourists would steal fragments of monuments, literally pieces of the city, put it in their pocket and go home. But every year, roughly 100 packages get sent back to the archaeological superintendents, and most of them are accompanied with a letter explaining the bad luck that occurred with this piece of rock that they stole. So don't take things that don't belong to you. Alright, cheers. Number 2, the Anguished Man. I mean, first of all, aside from its dark history, who would be able to look at this and have this hanging up in their home? This is terrifying. Imagine this on your wall. That's from The Conjuring. That's a horrible thing to look at. I would take that down immediately. The Anguished Man is a painting with history. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of the artist who created it, a man who mixed his own blood into the paint as he worked. Yeah, real artsy guy. I love when people do that. Awesome. Don't do that at all. The painting has been passed down through generations of the artist's family, but each owner has reported strange occurrences while in possession of the haunting piece. Some have claimed to hear whispers and moaning coming from the painting late at night, which is it's pretty scary. It's also kind of funny to imagine a painting just being like, and you're like, what was that? That's kind of beautiful. Is that an E minor? Would you spend the night with this haunted painting? I would. I don't know. I'm a skeptic. I would just, again, not look at it. I would hang it up and then turn this way. It's kind of creepy. I don't know if I could do that. Now I get it. No way. Number 1, James Dean's car. Buckle in for this last one, folks. James Dean's love for fast cars was of course well known, and sadly because one of them led to his tragic death at the age of 24. He died by doing something he loved, which is, okay, some silver lining to it. Some are convinced that his cars were cursed the entire time. Dean's first car was involved in an accident that left him with a broken leg, and his second car, the one that he famously died in after colliding head-on with another vehicle, I mean, that's already too many. That's 2 accidents, that's 2 cursed cars. That's tragic history right there, but after Dean's death, that's when the hauntings begin. The Porsche was sold off and quickly became infamous for causing more accidents and more deaths. One of the owners even reported seeing the ghost of James Dean beside them in the passenger seat while they were driving before crashing. I would have crashed too. If I saw any ghost beside me, I'd be like, oh my god, that would be it, no matter what, James Dean or not. The car disappeared from public view in the late 1960s and has since been rumored to be hidden away by collectors who believe it to be cursed. Do you own the car? Is that you out there? Where is this thing hiding? I kind of want to take it for a spin. I don't know, I'm kind of weird like that. Would you drive in this car, ever? Me neither. Kicking off our list at number 10. Israel Cursed Tomb. Here we go, right off the hop. A secret tomb was discovered in Israel only a month ago. Now this is the first time a tomb has been found at the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 65 years. Now the actual cave itself was discovered only a year ago, but these smaller chambers are being found recently, as like a month ago recently. And the tomb found came along with a message. Awesome, we love those. It vows to curse anybody who would open the grave, and this message is also written in blood red, so yeah. Can we not open this one, maybe? Last time we had a black sarcophagus in Egypt, people were sticking their heads in for no reason, just to see what's up. And then, a plague happened. So, number 9, Polish King Curse. Some of you may remember this, or your parents might so ask about this at dinner. Yeah, make it weird tonight. Ask them about a Polish king curse tonight while you're eating food. Back in 1973, a team of archaeologists were jazzed when they uncovered an ancient 15th century tomb. The tomb of the Polish king at the time, King Casimir IV Jagiellon. Now, media was of course all over this discovery, as they should be. It was exciting. Now, everyone was of course making jokes about a curse. You kind of have to, right? We're all thinking about it. What if there's a curse? I don't know. Open it though, still. Some team members involved ended up dying after the discovery. It was a little odd. There were a few who said it was due to a curse, but the sudden illnesses were in fact caused by deadly fungi inside the tomb. So it still was the tomb's fault, but it wasn't a curse per se. It was breathed in, and that's what led to these researchers' untimely death. Number 8, King Tut's curse. Here we go. Since we're on the topic of illnesses or curses, let's go back 50 more years, shall we? To the legendary discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922. This discovery is what made everyone, so paranoid when that Polish king curse came out, right? This discovery and what followed is the main reason we believe in mummy curses today. One member of the expedition, George Herbert, passed away suddenly 6 weeks after they opened King Tut's chamber. It was not toxic mold, it wasn't a curse, but rather it was a mosquito bite on the cheek. He got blood poisoning from a mosquito bite, that's all it was. I mean, I'm sure digging up bodies from the past and opening the tombs up doesn't help karma in general, but it wasn't a curse written in red. Not this time. Number 7, a strange resting place. Ancient burial grounds. Okay, these tombs, they come in many different shapes and sizes. Some can be these massive Great Pyramids, and others can be a shallow cave system. Sometimes there's ancient history right below your feet, and you'd never know. In St. Augustine, for example, the remains of a donkey were found buried underground. And judging from the skull and the bones and the placement, something was afoot here. It had clearly been hunted down by humans and placed there purposefully. That's not the mysterious part at all. The mysterious part is that all the bones have been carefully separated and there's no marks to suggest that any tools were used. So researchers believe that this thing wasn't even used for food. So what was it? The limbs were placed to point north and south. That's it. They used this donkey as a compass. How rude is that? What? Donkeys in that area of Florida in the 17th century, that's not bizarre at all. But the way the bones were buried, north and south, that's very odd. That's very Game of Thronesy. You know what I'm saying? What's the message here? What's the point? What's the point? Besides north and south, of course. Number 6, Toris Tomb. Okay, somebody called Mario. We got a lot of shells to explain. Okay, pal? Back in 2005 in northern Israel, a tomb of a shaman, who we believe was a 45-year-old woman at the time of her passing, was found in a cave. It was a cave/tomb. Like I said, many different shapes and sizes. There were 28 other skeletons as well, and it appears they had a 6-stage burial. There were beautiful decorations to suggest such, but something that really stood out here were the 86 tortoise bodies discovered in the corner of the tomb. What was going on here? What did we miss? I have FOMO, but I'm not sure why. Was this an ancient feast or a long-lost sacrifice? Either way, poor guys. The antique death mask. It was cast from the face of a man who died while wearing it, and it carries a heavy, sinister energy. Obviously, if you die in anything, now that piece of clothing is going to be haunted, 100%. The Warrens believe that this mask kept the tormented spirit of the deceased, who was trapped between worlds. Now, those who have touched or handled the mask have reported intense feelings of despair, vivid nightmares, and seeing the ghostly figure of the man in their peripheral vision. Yeah, I love that. I love seeing a man in my peripheral vision. That's so scary. The mask is now locked away to prevent further contact with these tormented spirits that it seems to contain, casting a shadow over all who dare to approach it. Honestly, if that was me, I would be so tempted to see if I turned into Jim Carrey's The Mask. I'd want to try it on just once, real quick. Alright, we're good. Not evil, not cursed. Or Loki. Alright. The vampire's coffin. This small ancient coffin was brought to the Warrens by a family who believed that it housed the spirit of a vampire. First of all, Team Edward, that's pretty cool. I love a vampire. I wanted to be one when I was a kid. Still do, whatever. We won't talk about it. But the coffin, intricately carved with sinister symbols, was said to bring misfortune and ill health to anyone who owned it. I mean, yeah, it's a vampire coffin with sinister symbols. You don't have to explain why this is a bad one to touch. No touchy, no vampire touchy. The Warrens explained that the coffin was a powerful dark relic capable of channeling vampiric energy and feeding on the life force of those nearby. Maybe that's why I'm so pale. Maybe just talking about it, the life force is leaving me as we speak, so better move on, huh? The Crooked Man's Cane. A twisted, gnarled cane allegedly belonging to a malevolent spirit known as the Crooked Man. This guy was in The Conjuring 2, and I gotta tell you, I think I could take him. to be honest. Crooked man meet lanky man. Let's do this, pal. The cane was found in an old house where people experienced strange accidents and misfortunes, all that bad stuff, you name it. So the Warrens took possession of it, believing that it was cursed and had been used as a focus for dark rituals. Since then, visitors who have touched the cane, not sure why you would ever do that, but they all reported feeling an intense cold and seeing the shadowy figure of a bent old man following them around, whispering in a creepy voice. Yeah, he probably wants his cane back. Sounds like he just needs that. I don't know. He's hunched over and he's unhappy. Sounds like a man who for sure needs a cane. Maybe that's my opinion. Maybe if you didn't take people's belongings, you wouldn't be cursed. Ed and Lorraine, just a thought. The bridal dress. This antique wedding dress is said to be cursed, as are all of these objects, causing tragedy for anyone who tries it on. Okay. I'm not sure I can fit in this one, so I don't gotta worry, but some of you, good luck. The dress was worn by a bride who was driven mad on her wedding day and killed her groom. Yeah, that's love at not first sight. The Warrens believe that her spirit remained attached to this dress, filled with jealousy and rage. Now, several women who tried the dress on, again, not sure why you would do that, they all experienced terrifying visions and sudden outbursts of anger. Maybe the husband was like, I don't know, it looks a little big on you. And she's like, I'm angry now. Maybe it was normal. But one woman nearly attacked her fiance after wearing it. So maybe it's the relationship, maybe it's the curse. I don't want any more answers. The dress is now stored in a glass case where its dark energy can be contained but not entirely subdued. So don't try this one on. Maybe leave those spaghetti straps off and away. The toy monkey. This one's kind of fun but very, very haunting. This old-fashioned toy monkey with symbols is far from playful. We've all seen these, right? Just smacks the symbols together. Not sure who would want that. It's pretty loud and annoying, but I get it. It was brought to the Warrens by a family haunted by this constant, eerie sound of the monkey symbols clashing at night. Even when the toy had no batteries, the monkey would crash on. That hurt my knuckle doing that. The family reported poltergeist activity at first and seeing shadowy figures all around the monkey after they arrived in their home, which, I mean, telltale sign that you have a cursed house, for sure, that monkey's cursed. But the Warrens believe that the toy serves as a conduit for a demonic presence, seeking to torment and frighten. It's now displayed, of course, behind glass and its symbols forever at rest. Honestly, I would want to hear it play just one symbol, just one, and then I'll go home, because I don't really believe this one. I don't believe that there's a haunted toy. Although I did grow up with Furbies, so maybe I do believe in haunted toys after all. Those things would do whatever they want. The werewolf paw. In Annabelle Comes Home, we see in the museum a werewolf paw sitting on a shelf. That's a little Easter egg in a not so great movie. Then later on in the film, we see a real werewolf outside of the Warrens. Alright, this is most likely a nod to a London case involving the Warrens, where a man was behaving like a werewolf. Love that. Love when a guy just freaks out. He would just flip and become one. Not physically, he wouldn't grow hair or anything like that, but he would use his fingers like claws and he would growl and attack people on the streets of London. That's a werewolf. Call it what you want. That's definitely a werewolf curse. This man was William Ramsay, and the Warrens believed this to be the same spirit responsible for transforming humans into wolves back in the day, aka lycanthropy. In 1989, the solution was for Ed and Lorraine to bring Bill to the States, where Bishop Robert McKenna performed an exorcism, turning the man back into his regular, non-wolfy self. Now, could there be a real wolf paw in the museum responsible for the Werewolf of London case? Probably. It's not confirmed, but if it's in the movie, I'm guessing there's something like that lying around. Ooh, terrifying. Top 10 cursed artifacts that scientists can't explain. Number 10, the Screaming Skull of Burton Agnes Hall. The Screaming Skull of what? That sounds like a horror film right off the bat. Let's talk about it. The Screaming Skull of Burton Agnes Hall is a legend surrounding an English county house in Yorkshire. Yeah, as you could guess, it's terrifying. The story goes that Anne Griffith, one of the daughters of Sir Henry Griffith, who built the hall back in the 17th century, well, she was attacked and mortally wounded. Now, before meeting her sad demise, Anne had one request. She asked for her head to be kept inside the house forever. Just the head, just that one head, just that's it. The rest of it doesn't matter. Just the cool, awesome. When it was removed, supernatural disturbances occurred until the skull was eventually returned to its rightful place, I want to say. It's said that if the skull is removed, eerie noises and disturbances plague the hall. So, yeah. Oh, I shouldn't touch the mummy head from the 17th century? Ah, damn it. I always thought I could poke it. Easy. Number 9, Peck Island. A cursed island. How does that even happen? That's almost impressive. Peck Island, located in the Detroit River near Windsor, Ontario, revolves around the story of of Hiram Walker. Walker was a Canadian entrepreneur who owned the island in the late 19th century, and legend has it that Walker planned to build a grand mansion on the island, but it was quickly thrown off its course by a series of misfortunes and tragedies, all of which is believed to be a part of this island curse. Now, the mansion was never completed, of course, and the island is now known for its ghost stories and tales of buried treasure. Yeah, you can't tell me that. You can't be like, oh, the island's cursed and forbidden, but also there's treasure there? So, I don't know, may the odds be ever in your favor, I guess. Good luck. Number 8, Bela Lugosi's mirror. Best known for his role as Count Dracula, haunting off the bat, this mirror reportedly belonged to Lugosi, and it is said that he gazed into it frequently. Of course he did. It's a mirror. That's the only thing you can do. That's not exactly the crazy part. The crazy part here is after his death, the mirror is believed to have passed through various hands, with each owner experiencing disturbing occurrences, suggesting that the mirror may in fact be haunted. A haunted mirror, you're like, ah, it's me, it's my face. I just roasted myself, I guess. These events have led to a legend that Lugosi's spirit, or something connected to him, is stuck inside the mirror. Do we break it and then release him? Do we not break it? Is that bad luck? What do we even do at this point? I don't know. Do you believe in a haunted mirror? Just cover it up. Problem solved. Put a doily over it. I'm like, I'm good. Number 7, haunted chairs of Belcourt Castle. Haunted chairs, that's awesome. That sounds like the haunted mansion in real life, zipping around your house. That's amazing. The haunted chairs of Belcourt Castle in Newport, Rhode Island. They have a history of paranormal lore, if you want to call it that. That's the lore right there. A chair moves sometimes. It's a safety hazard really at this point. Watch your step. Built in 1894 by Oliver Hazard Perry Belmont, a really long name, the castle is known for its collection of antiques and artifacts, all that smell incredibly great and old and dusty and horrible to breathe in, including several chairs that are said to be super haunted. Everything else is just old and fine, but the chair's demon in that chair for sure. Visitors and staff have reported feeling a force pushing them out of these chairs, which I know must be frightening when you're sitting there, but when I think of that, it's hilarious. It's now a cartoon. Whoa! Baker's haunted wedding dress. Normally wedding dresses are reminders of the best day of your life, right? You look at it, you're like, yes, I was there, we're in love, awesome. At least that's what they're supposed to feel like. When it comes to the Baker's wedding dress, there's nothing but terror. Yeah, all in those laces right there. You zip it up, it's horrible in the back. In 1849, Anna Baker, a rich young gal from a rich Pennsylvania family, fell in love with a low-class iron worker. And her father did not want her to marry a man from the lower class, because how dare she do that, right? Ugh. He forbid the wedding, all that stupid old stuff, but unbeknownst to the father, Anna had already bought a dress. She was excited, she was in love, she was committed, alright? It was the 1800s, so there was for sure a no-return policy, so Anna remained single until the end of her days. She died in 1914, and rumor has it, she passed away with that very same wedding dress still in her arms. Now after that, the house was turned into a museum, because why, of course, and the dress is now said to move on its own within its display case, supposedly manifesting Anna's restless and unhappy spirit. It's amazing. There's a floaty dress. It's like a Spider-Man villain. That's the scariest one so far. Number 5, the Anguished Man. Historical paintings are cool, I guess. I don't know, they're pretty interesting. But this is the first time I've read up on the Anguished Man myself, and I wish I didn't, to be honest. It's pretty unsettling. It's now considered one of the most haunted objects in the world, and it looks like the part 2. It looks like it's from a horror movie. This oil painting was created by, of course, an unknown artist, but the actual paint here used in the painting is mixed with blood, real blood. Their legit DNA is in this painting, whoever it is. Their blood, sweat, and tears. Great. Not much is known of the artist as they passed away shortly after, but the current owner is Sean Robinson from Cumbria, England. His grandmother had given him said painting. There wasn't much known beforehand. Maybe she just found it at an auction, whatever. But his grandmother did warn him that it was cursed. Yeah, here's some Werther's original, and also here's a cursed painting. Enjoy. Sean had to leave it in his basement at first because his wife wasn't on board. More than fair. I'd be like, no, can we not? Can we turn it around? Thanks. But when the basement randomly flooded, he had to move it upstairs at that point, which is already pretty creepy. Now after, the couple heard crying or screams or whispering, things you don't want to hear alone in a house with a haunted painting coming from the room with the painting. It got so bad Robinson uploaded time-lapse footage to YouTube in 2011, and it shows the door closing by itself next to the painting. Also, yeah, keep this in the basement or flood it, I don't care. I agree with the missus here. Number 4. music box. We had to include one of the creepiest elements of the Conjuring movie, because it's a real thing. Director James Wan wanted to use the music box in the first film because, mirrors and creepy tones make for great suspense and all that jazz. But this was also a real haunted artifact from the real haunted house. Today the box is safely stored in the Warrens Occult Museum, like I mentioned before, just a fun house of scary that you should definitely never touch, alongside other items that look more or less normal, right? One of which is the real Annabelle doll. This part of the movie actually scared the shit out of me. Any mirror scene, I can't do it. I end up eating my hoodie. They always do it slow too. I hate movie scenes that include mirrors. But this is real life though, you can't forget that. This music box actually caused a lot of trouble for these poor girls. Specifically April, youngest of the Perrin family. She found this unique antique in the house and then she used it to communicate to another spirit. A spirit that just happened to be named Rory. Yeah, it's a great haunted name, Rory. Nice, it's not friendly at all. In the movie, this was a happy ending, whatever, but in real life, the Bathsheba Sherman case was never resolved. Number 3, the Hope Diamond Curse. Coming from the 1660s, here we go. This curse began when a gem dealer named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier bought this large diamond when visiting India. Or so he said, he bought it. The origins of the diamond were unknown, but it didn't matter. This beauty was just sitting there. Well, later on, after he got the diamond, rumors started spreading throughout Europe and the United States that Tavernier actually stole the diamond from a statue of a Hindu goddess. Yeah, that sounds a little more on the nose. That's a bit more accurate. Little different than his story, but sadly a little more believable. The newspapers actually kicked this one off by publishing the Hope Diamond as an ancient curse. That ought to help, right? That spreads the word, I guess. The diamond at one point ended up in the hands of King Louis XVI and his wife, Marie Antoinette. Now, if you don't know about them, they were, they had some rough history happen with their heads being off their body and stuff. They lost their lives during the French Revolution, to say the least. The guillotine Dream Team, that's what we call them. The stone then went to Lord Francis Hope come 1839, and by that point it was deemed cursed. This is when it got the name the Hope Diamond, right? They ended up selling said diamond shortly after being reduced to poverty, and then Evelyn Walsh McLean bought the stone in 1912. Shortly after that, her son was killed in a car accident. When the stone was delivered to its final and current home, the Smithsonian, back in 1958, the driver who was delivering the package was later hit by a truck. Now he survived, but shortly after his house caught fire. Moral of the story, you don't need diamonds, for more reasons than one. Number 2, the Busby Stoop Chair. Coming from 1702, 10 years after the Salem witch trials, so take this one with a grain of salt, people made odd choices back then, okay? Women were witches because they knew math, and chairs were evil. Welcome to 1702, good luck. Englishman Thomas Busby had some issues with his father-in-law. He didn't handle them well, so now he had to be hanged for it. Yeah, he can't commit crimes to resolve problems. It's not a good thing. Can't just kill people for no reason, Thomas. What is this, 1692? He was hanged near the Humble Inn, which is an ironic name, but a chair that was nearby is now said to hold the spirit of one Thomas Busby. If you sit on this chair, you are set to die in a frightful accident. So the chair was declared haunted, but did anything actually happen? Yeah, locals say during World War II, airmen from a nearby base came to the pub, and those who sat on it never returned. And then in the 70s, more accidents were connected, but they still kept it around until 1978. Yeah, it stayed in the inn for that long, until it was donated to the Thirsk Museum. It's not even a rocking chair either. It looks like it should be a rocking chair, but it's not a rocking chair. That's the scariest part in my opinion. You try and lean back, you're like, oh, I really thought it was gonna rock there. Damn, it's disappointing. And finally, number 1, a ghost caught in a photograph. Yeah, this one ought to end the list in a pretty bizarre way. Doesn't matter where or when, but odds are you've seen this photo at some point in your life. You know when you see a photo, sometimes you just get bad vibes, like it registers in your brain as something scary but also real. Like you want to find something that looks fake about this photo, but it's tough. This photo was taken inside the Amityville house in 1976. It's a young lad with glowing white eyes, kind of hard to miss. It was taken with automatic cameras equipped with infrared, and it makes it even creepier that the boy looks like he's peeking around the corner. Nice, just hiding from you in his invisible ghost land. We love it. A photographer named Gene Campbell took this photo, and Gene at the time was working with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. This photo was revealed 3 years after it was taken on the Merv Griffin show, and many believe this is the ghost of one John DeFeo, one of the boys who lived there prior to that 1974 event. Yeah, we're still trying to figure this out. What do you guys think? Elaborate hoax, or perhaps this is one solid piece of evidence that the Amityville house is indeed haunted and ghosts are indeed real?